Okay, Discipuli. So what we have right here is a slideshow that we're going to go over, and we're going to talk and guess about what these words mean before I tell you what they mean. And this is kind of our introduction to all the stuff you always learn first in a foreign language, like how to say hello and goodbye, and how to say how you are and tell people your name and all that kind of stuff. So I want you to keep that in mind while we're watching this. Uh, the video is going to pause every so often and ask you a question about what you think these mean. And I will tell you the answer as to what these mean, and ultimately I'll even post a worksheet for you with what all of these things mean. But the goal of this is just to help you think through them, and we always learn better if we make a guess first. So we're going to go through this and guess together. Uh, so we have on this PowerPoint two Romans who have met in the road, and the first guy says Selway, and the next guy says Selway. And so I want you to guess what you think Selway might mean. So most of you probably guessed that Selway meant hello, and you would be right. So next thing we have is this guy says Quinagus, and the guy replies Ago aptame at 2. So they've just said hello, and now they're saying yes, Quinagus. And I'm going to point out some context clues for you. The first thing I want to point out to you is that Quinagus is a question. So whatever you say Quinagus is, it has to be some type of question he's asking. The next thing I'm going to point out is that Ago Optime actually has an exclamation mark on it. And this guy is smiling about whatever he's saying. So he's probably not saying something like, life is terrible right now. He's probably saying something that's a good thing. And then the last thing I'm going to point out is that et tu is a question. So go ahead, guess what those mean. Okay, so you probably all guessed something Quinagus is like, how are you? Or something like, how are you doing? Or what's up? Something like that, because that's what usually you ask after you say hello. You probably also guessed Ago Optime was a response like, I'm doing great. And et tu is and you. So the like if you've had French or Spanish, it sounds pretty similar in those languages as well. Okay, so this guy just said, how are you? I'm great. And you? And the next guy responds, oh, ago male. So ago male, you can see he's got a frowny face on. And this guy responds, me pinatet. So I want you to guess what ago male and me pinatet probably mean. As most of you guess, ago male was I'm bad or I'm terrible. Some of you might have guessed I'm sad because of the way I said it, but it just means not doing good. I'm not well. And then if he says I'm not doing well, me pinatet some type of remorse situation. So it literally means it pains me, but nobody says it in English. So it's like I'm sorry to hear that would be how we'd say it in English. All right. And this guy, next he says, quid nomen tibi est? And he says, nomen mihi est Marcus et tu. And some of the context clues is that quid nomen tibi est is a question. The next thing I'm going to point out is that he's wearing what appears to be a name tag that says, hello, my name is Marcus. So with those two clues, go ahead and guess what you think quid nomen tibi est and nomen mihi est might mean. So quid nomen tibi est means what is your name? And then nomen mihi est means my name is Marcus, or my name is. He says nomen mihi est Quintus. And then the guy says, Sally Quinte. So I just want to point out one thing to you. We're not going to guess anything on this slide, but I want to point out to you that Quintus and Quinte look really different here. They change the ending. So the subject of how and why these endings change is pretty much all of 7th and 8th grade Latin. But right now, what you need to remember is that if the ending of the word changes just a little bit, it can still mean the same thing. This is kind of like how like geese and goose still refers to the same animal, or desk and desks, even though I added an S, I'm still talking about the same thing. It's not exactly like that, but it will help you think about it if you think about it that way. Okay, and then he says Wale, and the other guy says Wale. So go ahead and guess what Wale means. Okay, so our next set is that's not a whole conversation, or the last part was a whole conversation. This is not a whole conversation. These are just little question and answers that they're going to ask. So he says Quiragus, and he's not just Ago Male, he's Ago Pessime. Pessime. So guess what pessime is? And I'm also going to ask you if you can think of a word in English that sounds like pessime. Uh, and if you can't, it's okay to write I don't know for that one question. So most of you probably guessed ago pessime is like I'm terrible or I'm really bad or I'm really sad, and it's I'm not doing great. And it kind of looks like the word pessimistic, because a pessimist always think things are terrible, and ago pessime means I'm terrible. All right, next up, he says quoragus, and the guy says ago bene, and look, he's got not like a ago optime smile on, but a smile on. Uh, so just like you have been guessing, go ahead and guess what ago bene means. So you probably guess that ago bene means something like I'm great. Okay, and he says quoragus, and the guy says ago nak bene nak male. And you can see here he's got a very neutral face on there. And we've also seen the words bene and male before. Okay, and the last one is probably the most challenging one, and it says this guy's saying "selwete," and they're responding to him "selway." So go ahead and guess what this is. The big difference is that "selwete" is being said, and this extra guy has been added. Okay, Discipuli, that is the end of the Ed puzzle. Well done.